You are welcome to today's deep news analysis. This is not noise. This is not rumor. This is serious. If you care about Nigeria, if you care about justice, then stay with me till the end. But before we go deep, please subscribe to this channel. Turn on your notification bell, so you don't miss important stories like this. Stories that shape our future. Now listen. The United States government has banned Justice Omotosho from entering the USA. This is not a warning. This is not advice. It is a clear visa ban. When the United States takes this kind of action, it means a line has been crossed. The US does not issue visa bans lightly, especially against a sitting judge. Such decisions usually follow reviews, reports, and concerns raised over time. According to available information, the ban is linked to judicial error records connected to Justice Omotosho's work. These records include decisions and procedures that raised serious questions outside Nigeria. At the center of these concerns is the recent judgment involving Nnamdi Kanu. On November 20th, Nnamdi Kanu was sentenced to life imprisonment by the court. Shortly after the judgment, he was transferred to Sokoto Prison. This move and the process that led to the sentence quickly became a global topic. What shocked many observers was not only the sentence itself, but how the case was handled. Several international legal observers began to study the court process. They reviewed filings, procedures, and legal steps taken during the trial. Soon after, concerns started to surface. Questions were raised about due process. Questions were raised about jurisdiction. Questions were raised about whether proper legal standards were followed at every stage. These concerns did not remain within Nigeria. They moved beyond local debate. They reached global institutions that track judicial conduct and human rights compliance. The United States government, through its established legal and diplomatic review systems, took note. This visa ban is believed to be part of a wider policy that targets officials accused of serious legal misconduct or abuse of judicial power. Such bans are often used when a country wants to show that actions taken by officials have international consequences. It is important to understand what a visa ban means. It is not just about travel. It is a diplomatic signal. It tells the world that the individual involved has failed to meet standards expected under international law and justice norms. For Nigeria, this development is sensitive. Judges are meant to be symbols of fairness, balance, and restraint. When a judge becomes the subject of international sanctions, it affects the image of the entire justice system. This is why this story cannot be ignored or treated as gossip. It touches the core of governance. It touches the credibility of institutions. It touches how Nigeria is seen on the global stage. The case of Nnamdi Kanu has long attracted international attention. From his arrest to his detention, and now to his life sentence, each stage has been closely watched. The involvement of foreign governments shows how much weight this case carries. The US government has not accused Nigeria as a whole, but by targeting a specific judicial officer, it sends a focused message. It suggests that individual actions matter, and accountability does not stop at national borders. For Nigerians at home and abroad, this raises serious questions. How are sensitive cases handled? Are courts insulated from pressure? Are legal rights fully protected? These are not emotional questions. They are legal questions. And they demand calm, honest answers. What is clear at this point is this. The visa ban is real. The concerns are documented. And the global response has begun. This development marks a new chapter in the conversation around justice, accountability, and the rule of law in Nigeria. It is a moment that requires attention, not denial. As this story continues to unfold, it will likely shape discussions far beyond this single case. It will influence how future judicial actions are judged, both locally and internationally. And this is only the beginning. The reaction to this development did not come from one place. It came from many directions at once. After the life sentence handed to Nnamdi Kanu on November 20th, legal observers outside Nigeria began to respond. International attention increased, not because of public noise, but because of legal review. Documents, rulings, and court steps were examined by professionals who focus on judicial standards. Several global legal and human rights institutions raised concerns. Their focus was not political sympathy. Their focus was process. They questioned whether the court followed accepted legal rules at every stage. They examined how jurisdiction was handled. They reviewed whether the defendant's rights were fully protected under both Nigerian law and international legal norms. These institutions do not act quickly. They rely on procedure, evidence, and comparison with global standards. When concerns are raised by more than one body, it signals that the issue is serious. Reports began to reference procedural errors. Some reports pointed to irregular steps in how the trial was conducted. Others highlighted gaps between domestic rulings and international expectations for fair trials. This is where the case moved beyond national debate. When global institutions flag a judicial process, it enters diplomatic space. Governments begin to review the situation quietly. They assess whether actions taken by officials align with values they claim to support. The United States has a long-standing policy of imposing visa restrictions on foreign officials linked to serious misconduct. This includes corruption, abuse of power, and major legal violations. Judicial misconduct falls within that scope when it affects human rights and rule of law. The visa ban placed on Justice Omotosho is believed to be part of this framework. It reflects a conclusion reached after review, not public pressure. Such bans are usually announced only after internal decisions are finalized. This is why the move is seen as firm and deliberate. The reaction from legal circles has been measured but clear. No one is calling for chaos. No one is calling for revenge. The call is for accountability. Legal experts say that when courts handle sensitive cases, the margin for error becomes very small. Any mistake, delay, or irregular action attracts scrutiny. In high-profile cases, that scrutiny multiplies. The transfer of Nnamdi Kanu to Sokoto Prison after sentencing also drew attention. International observers asked questions about detention conditions and legal justification. These questions were added to the broader review of the case. What matters here is not opinion. What matters is record. Court records do not speak emotion. They speak action. And according to global reviewers, the record raised concerns that could not be ignored. The response from outside Nigeria has remained diplomatic. There have been no threats. There has been no public confrontation. Instead, actions were taken quietly, using established tools. A visa ban is one of those tools. It sends a message without creating headlines. It signals disapproval without public debate. For Nigeria, this response creates a moment of reflection. The justice system does not operate in isolation. In a connected world, local decisions carry international weight. Many Nigerians have different views on Nnamdi Kanu. Some support him. Some oppose him. But international law does not take sides in political belief. It examines procedure. This is why the focus remains on how the judgment was reached, not who it affected. Global institutions have made it clear that fair trial standards must be respected everywhere. No country is exempt. No court is above review. The growing international reaction also places pressure on diplomatic relations. When a judge is sanctioned, it raises questions in foreign policy discussions. It forces governments to address concerns they may prefer to avoid. At this stage, no final international ruling has been issued on the entire case. But the signals are strong. And they are consistent. The visa ban is one signal. The reports are another. The continued monitoring is a third. Together, they show that this issue is far from over. The global reaction is not loud. It is steady. And it is watching closely. What happens next will depend on how Nigeria responds to these concerns, not with words, but with actions grounded in law. This is where everything comes together. The visa ban on Justice Omotosho is not an isolated event. It is part of a wider signal being sent to institutions, not just individuals. It tells a clear story about how justice is judged in today's world. In the past, judicial actions stayed within national borders. Today, that is no longer the case. Court decisions are reviewed, measured, and compared globally. This is the environment Nigeria now operates in. The message is simple but firm. When legal procedures fall below accepted standards, consequences follow. Those consequences may not come from within, but they will come from outside. For Nigeria's justice system, this moment carries weight. Judges are expected to act without pressure, without bias, and without shortcuts. When that expectation is questioned, trust is affected. Trust is the foundation of any legal system. Without it, court rulings lose moral authority. Without it, citizens lose confidence. This development forces an uncomfortable conversation. Are safeguards strong enough? Are judicial reviews effective? Are errors addressed openly or ignored? These questions cannot be answered with emotion. They require institutional honesty. The case involving Nnamdi Kanu has now become more than a legal matter. It has become a reference point. Future cases will be compared to it. Future judgments will be examined through its shadow. International actors are not asking Nigeria to change its laws. They are asking that existing laws be followed fully and clearly. That is the core of the concern. The life sentence handed down on November 20th and the subsequent transfer to Sokoto Prison are now part of an international record. That record will continue to be reviewed, discussed, and cited. This does not mean immediate reversal. It does not mean external control. It means continued attention. Attention can be uncomfortable, but it can also be corrective. For public officials, including judges, the message is direct. Actions have personal responsibility. Authority does not erase accountability. When the United States imposes a visa ban, it is not making a court ruling. It is setting a boundary. It is saying that certain actions are incompatible with its standards. Other countries may observe and decide their own positions. Some may remain silent. Others may follow similar paths. This is how international pressure works. Quiet. Gradual. Persistent. For Nigerians, this moment invites reflection rather than division. This is not about choosing sides. It is about protecting systems. A strong justice system protects everyone. It protects the innocent. It protects the state. It protects the future. If errors were made, acknowledging them strengthens institutions. If processes were flawed, correcting them restores confidence. Silence, on the other hand, allows doubt to grow. The world is not demanding perfection. It is demanding fairness. That demand will not disappear. What happens next will define how Nigeria's judiciary is viewed for years. Will this moment lead to review and reform? Or will it deepen skepticism? The answer lies in response, not reaction. This is not the end of the story. It is a turning point. Every system is tested at some point. This is one of those tests. How Nigeria responds will matter not just to foreign governments, but to its own citizens. Because justice is not only about punishment. It is about process, balance, and credibility. As this issue continues to develop, more facts will emerge. More positions will be taken. More attention will follow. Staying informed is essential. Understanding the deeper meaning behind actions is critical. This case has shown that judicial decisions can echo far beyond the courtroom. They can affect diplomacy. They can affect reputation. They can affect national trust. The big message is clear. Justice today is global. Accountability is unavoidable. And silence is no longer enough. If you value clear analysis, share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Like this video to help others stay informed. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss important updates. Because the future of justice is shaped by attention. And attention begins with awareness. This development marks a serious moment for Nigeria's justice system and its global standing. The visa ban placed on Justice Omotosho by the United States is not a casual action. It reflects accumulated concerns, documented reviews, and conclusions drawn outside Nigeria's borders. What makes this situation important is not only the individual affected, but the message it sends to institutions. Judicial decisions now operate in an international space where standards are observed and compared. When procedures are questioned, consequences can follow beyond national control. The life sentence handed to Nnamdi Kanu on November 20th, along with his transfer to Sokoto Prison, has become part of a broader international discussion. This discussion focuses on process, legality, and compliance with accepted judicial norms. It is a discussion that will continue, regardless of public silence or official restraint. Global institutions have not issued emotional reactions. Their responses have been structured and policy-driven. The visa ban is one such response, used to signal disapproval without direct interference. For Nigeria, this moment requires careful attention. Ignoring international concern does not remove it. Dismissing it does not resolve it. The credibility of the judiciary depends on transparency, consistency, and respect for due process. When these elements are questioned, trust weakens. Restoring that trust requires clarity, not denial. This situation also highlights how individual actions can affect national reputation. In a connected world, judicial conduct is no longer judged only at home. It is reviewed globally. As events continue to unfold, responses from legal authorities and government institutions will be closely observed. How concerns are addressed will shape perceptions in the years ahead. This is not a conclusion, but a pause in an ongoing process. The implications will remain active in legal, diplomatic, and public discourse. What remains clear is that justice today carries global weight, and accountability follows it wherever it leads.